Welcome to Old Iron Machine Works, and welcome to any new subscribers that have might have joined over. Um, this video will be bringing home a D6-1 DoAll surface grinder. It's a 6x18, and I got a call from a friend which goes by Flea Market Dave. If you watch Chuck Bomarito's channel, The Outside Screwball, you will hear him talk about Flea Market Dave. Apparently, Mr. Tom Lipton at Ox Tool gave Dave the nickname. But anyway, I get a call out of the blue from Dave, and he's asking me, Gary, are you interested in a big surface grinder? And I'm thinking, with all the projects I got going on, sure, why not? What's one more? I said, yes, I'll. If it's not a complete basket case, I'm very interested in it. And he already talked to Chuck about it. Chuck already has 2 surface grinders, so he didn't have a use for it. So they figured, hey, let's call Gary. He'll have a use for it. Little backstory on it: the machine was originally bought brand new by Hewlett Packard, and they had it for enough years where apparently it was even sent in and kind of rebuilt by a company, and never did get much use out of that. The gentleman that actually gave it away worked for HP, and he got it, took it home, found that he didn't use it much, so then he moved it outside, put it on a trailer, moved it out, and covered it all up. And well, unfortunately, over enough time, between the varmints and the wind blowing tarps off and stuff, it did see some weather. Not bad. It looks like more cosmetic than anything else, but I thought it had great potential, and I said, yes, I'll take it. And in this video here, it's just a matter of getting it loaded up on the truck. Now, Dave is the one standing over to the left of the forklift, and then Dennis was the owner. He's the one that actually gave it away. He's on the forklift. Well, the story was Dennis was out in the back orchard. They took out a cherry orchard, and he was in the back cutting some firewood, and he ended up noticing on the trailer, and then apparently seen Dennis and started asking Dennis about it. And Dennis is like, yeah, I would like to find a good home. I think it was getting pretty close to just going to scrapyard, to be honest. So timing is everything. It just worked out really nice. Now, Dennis had the machine sitting on top of the 2 sets of blocks that you could see under the machine. So he just took the forklift and put the forks underneath, picked it up, and then we just set it on the trailer. What we're doing here is I wanted to get it off of the blocks and all the way down flat to the bed. It just makes a much secure load for tying down and hauling. So anyway, that's what we're doing right here. At 3,400 pounds, it was a little much for the crane that's on my service truck that I bring home every night. So anyway, I brought home the larger truck. This crane, is either 7,500 or 7,800 pound crane. So it handles it pretty much like it's not even there. On these grinders, they got some pockets down in the main casting body right there. That's where they want you to lift from. They have warnings all over the tables, don't lift from the tables, but you know that's pretty obvious. The tables are just sitting on the ways, you know, so of course if you try to lift them, you're gonna mess something up. So yeah, here I just got it chained, you know, where it's just picking it up from the main base. The grinder was located in Mountain View, California, which was about an hour and 45-minute one way from Rio Vista. So it wasn't too awful long of a drive. Here I got it on some 2x12s on the pallet jack, and I could just slide some 4x underneath the hinge, you know, when I want to set it down and pull the pallet jack out from under it. And the pallet jack will move it around no problem. Okay. When I turn the pump on, it howls, and I turned it off right away. And yeah, we need oil. So I need to get to the book, find out what kind of oil it takes. But it sounds like the pump is working. Just need to get oil. You can see the rats totally made a mess. That's probably the worst part inside the here, but this is very encouraging. Here we go. I don't know if the phone picks it up, but I couldn't imagine it being any quieter than what it is. And it is, spindle is permanently lubricated. This box here, see how far it sticks out? I don't know if it needs to be that big. Anyway, it's not a plug and play, but I don't think it'll take too much to get her working good. Okay, I put some oil in it. It was definitely low on oil. And I thought, okay, let's get this baby working. The pump's clearly coming on. You can hear it inside, but I'm not getting it to do anything. And I thought, what in the world? So we'll shut this off. And I thought, all right, I know nothing about these things. And I thought, all right, where do I go from here? And I noticed the spindle is super quiet. I'm gonna kick the spindle on. The spindle one runs great, except for it's spinning counterclockwise. I do know enough to know that this is a splatter side, so it should be spinning clockwise, throwing the sparks over here, which means I gotta switch a couple wires. So let me pull the couple wires off the plug I put on it, switch them around and see what happens. Okay, I got the wire switched around. I was turning the wrong way. So now the spindle goes the correct way. And now I kick the pump on. And work the lever. I should probably point out that I was manually moving the table and up underneath, squirting some oil and wiping the waves off, and they didn't feel bad at all. So I wasn't cranking this thing back and forth on totally dry waves. And the setback is working. And that reverses it. That's this here, you just work to that lever. So everything is working. Some of this probably is going to run together, but you know, multiple days. I would come home after work and then just kind of mess around with it a little bit. And here I've already pulled all the covers off, and you could just see that the rats and squirrels and stuff just kind of made a mess of things, made a nest everywhere. But it looks like everything's going to clean up really nice. Just a little scraping in the vacuum and sucking stuff up, and you know, I just wanted to show the way it was, the way it came home. Now on these machines here, they have a totally separate lubrication system for the waves. They use regular whey oil, and there's a plunger right inside of there. Now plungers are operated by the hydraulics on the machine itself, and every time the table strokes, it sends oil to stroke the pump inside the, you know, the pump that pumps the whey oil, and it appears to all be working, you know, really well. I believe this has kind of a unique coolant system, where rather than just it squirting some coolant down where the stone is, it applies the coolant on the inside hubs, which is centrifugally forced right to the stones, and in the pores of the stones lets the fluid go right through the pore of the stone itself, and you know, and right on your material. I have not got it hooked up that far, obviously you can see, but I'm kind of curious to see how that part works. one issue I found is the plate on top of that valve right there. You can see where the ears have been welded up, and I don't know how much wear they have, but when you see me mechanically turning it to the detents, the table's reversing real quick. But when the rollers go up and contact it to switch directions, it's not working the valve as far, so it's got a little bit more over travel before it reverses. So I'll probably end up playing around with that a little bit. I noticed if you try to run it too fast, I had one time where you could tell it was kind of wanting to go too far, and it kind of bottomed out one time. Okay, I got everything working except the darn mag chuck. I don't know nothing about them or how they work. I'm getting some power to it. I turn it on. When I go to the demagnetizer, I'm getting that motor working the switch. Clicking the switches over there, which I'm not sure what exactly that's doing. But when I go to magnetize and turn it all the way up, nothing on the chuck. So I'm gonna have to dig around a little bit more in the book and the wiring diagram and try to figure that out. But the rest of it is very encouraging. Like you've seen before, spindle kicks on. Here's all the controls. Here's the spindle, hydraulic pump, coolant pump. Hit that and spindle running. I went ahead and filled up the coolant tank with just water just to see. I didn't know if the pump was going to be froze up or not. But I come over here and I hit the button for the coolant. And you can see that's pumping quite nicely. And the hydraulic system, kick it on. And the lubricator pump is working nice. The way it is they use the hydraulic, well, I'm making an assumption, they use a hydraulic system. They're probably using the reversing hydraulic valve to stroke the shaft inside of here for the whey oil. And that seems to be working good. I'm getting plenty of oil up underneath. So, very encouraging. Definitely still a project, but a very encouraging project. Now, as far as the controller for the mag chuck, it is a single phase 230 going in, and then it sends AC and it sends DC out to the magnet. And that's where I couldn't get any power. I could not pick up any DC current. So I just got to investigate that more. So on the way home, I stopped off at my favorite scrapyard place to see what happened to show up. And here it is, pretty cool. Plate showed up. And then I was interested in this Max oscillating spindle sander. And of course I went in and kind of half friends with the property manager. And anyway, we worked out a deal. The plate basically is right at about 1,000-pound plate. The plate is basically 31.5, if I remember right. 31 inches by 48.5 by 2 3/8 thick, which is right around 1,000 pounds. And the cool thing about the plate is it's got 310 3/4 coarse thread holes already drilled and tapped in the plate. When I made the deal, I didn't really give a whole lot for the spindle sander. It does show 400. They were running on 400 volt. I'm taking a chance that there's a good chance that it's a high voltage, low voltage, so I will be able to just switch it over to 220. But otherwise, so far everything looks pretty good on it. You know, the surface rust, but there's no pitting. That top surface rust will clean right off. These pockets here can now go on the bottom. That has got a really nice, clean surface. Definitely flame cut, but a beautiful job flame cutting. Anyway, I'm really happy with this plate. Here, me and my oldest boy was able to get away for a few hours last Saturday. Here I substituted my camera in my hand instead of the net. Actually pulled off the hook. That's what happens when I got a pole in one hand and a camera in the other. I definitely need to get a something to hold my phone. Phone in one hand, pole in the other. All right, where are you, buddy? Let's see, looks like another, oh, Oh, come on, baby. Come on. Ah, it looks like we have a matched pair. And I want to thank my daughter-in-law Jo for cooking them up. I want to thank anybody that's taken the time to check out the videos, and I want to thank my new subscribers. On my channel, I'll just have kind of some random stuff now and then, but it'll generally always be geared around some type of machinery. But anyway, if you like, give me a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber and you like this kind of content, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Thanks again.